Welcome to Very Honored Frater BT's Esoterinerd podcast, episode 17, in which I interview Very Honored Soror MDS and Very Honored Frater YShY of Thuban Temple and the Unified Order of the Golden Dawn in the Americas. But first, this episode is brought to you by the word Aberration. 1. A departure from rational thought or behavior. From the Latin, aberrare, to wander from. Ab, away, arare, to wander. It basically means to err, to make mistakes, or more specifically to have fixed ideas which are not true. The word is also used in its scientific sense. It means departure from a straight line. If a line should go from A to B, then if it is aberrated, it would go from A to some other point, 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 and finally arrive at B. Taken in its specific sense, it would also mean the lack of straightness, or to see crookedly, as, in example, a man sees a horse but thinks he sees an elephant. Aberrated conduct would be wrong conduct, or conduct not supported by reason. When a person has engrams, these tend to deflect what would be his normal ability to perceive truth and bring about an aberrated view of situations which then would cause an aberrated reaction to them. Aberration is opposed to sanity, which would be its opposite. 2. An aberrated person wanders from his self-determined course. He no longer goes where he wants to go, but goes where he has wanted to go in the past. His course is therefore not rational, and he seems to go wherever the environment pushes him. He has many aberrations, and he has hidden contra-survival decisions in his past. 3. Mental derangement, any irrational conclusion. 4. The aberee's reactions to and difficulties with his current environment. 5. The manifestation of an engram, and is serious only when it influences the competence of the individual and his environment. 6. The degree of residual plus or minus randomity accumulated by compelling, inhibiting, or unwarranted assisting of efforts on the part of other organisms or the physical material universe. If you'd like to follow along at home with the tech support segment of the Esoterinerd podcast, just go to Google and type in TECHDICT.PDF. The actual legacy of Frater X of the OTO. Now you may not have known, but there actually is a baby in that bathwater. That being said, I do recommend staying away from the organization. It's like my friend said,
knowledge is free. We are anonymous. Expect us.
The only thing I would add to that is Church of Scientology. I've spoken to the OTO. They still want their money and their boat back. I first heard about the Thuban Temple from Sean, who we met a few episodes ago, in Colorado. Thuban Temple is a private Golden Dawn temple in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, also servicing BC and the surrounding area. The alpha star of the constellation of Draconis was chosen as its name to represent the Gnostic serpent, representative of the active consideration of the higher aspirations of the soul, an ethic that is emphasized in that temple. Founded in 1999, it is patterned after the esoteric and fringe Masonic ideal of an occult mystery school, but one that also embraces the scientific method. Their membership is exclusively drawn from practicing magicians, actively concerned with the higher aspirations of their souls. The Star of Thuban may have been linked to the Egyptian belief in immortality, for as the ancient pole star was always central in the night sky. Whoever built the Great Pyramid drew on the Osirian stars of Orion and Thuban in the construction of the central King's Chamber. While older archaeological theory attributes the builder to be the pharaoh Khufu and assumes that the pyramid was built as an elaborate tomb, another perspective, more popular with occult tradition, states that the Great Pyramid is not a tomb at all, but a chamber used for initiation rituals of the priests and kings. And so, without further ado, let's get to that interview, shall we? Welcome to the Esoterinerd podcast, Soror and Frater.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Would you mind telling me a little bit about your names?
My name is Mistar Dar Shekina, so Soror MDS, the secret and hidden center of the Shekina. So
beautiful.
Yeah, I think it was appropriate.
It reminds me of a scrying session in the vault once with Elaine Simpson and Florence Farr. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. It's reference.
And how about you, Frater?
Mine is Yakita Shemesh Yetzira, the true self's solar form.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I was like, okay, I know each of these words separately, but yeah, putting them together, it's nice. It's very beautiful how it's like a new level of haiku poetry, like getting these higher names, these mottos to aspire to, and there's so much in it.
Yeah, the term Shemesh, as in the sun, it's also the root word for Samson, Shimshon, and the root word for eye, as in the sun as an eye, and so it has a lot of potent meaning sort of built into it. So it was something that I thought about for some time, and then of course when we analyze our mottos together, we come up with new things afterwards. So
like comparing zodiacal charts.
Yeah, it's like exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's why you do that.
And then you can compare your birth chart with your initiation chart, with your second order initiation chart, and it gets all wacky.
Yeah, it can get pretty fancy.
I like the Hebrew, maybe it's an Esoterinerd pun, Shemesh, the name of fire. I think it's a different spelling, though.
Yeah, I think Aish is fire, or ash.
So it'd be Shemesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could. You know what? There could be a root word in there. We should look that up.
Yeah. I love playing with that.
Shem also refers to the name. So it's the Hebrew word for the name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shemayim is the heavens, and Shemot is the plural form of name. But if you were to have a plural form of name that had a masculine ending rather than a feminine ending, then it would be the word they use for heavens.
And in modern Judaism, it's quite common to refer to the deity as Hashem, so the name.
Right.
It's a similar appellation to Adonai, right? So,
yeah, because
as in the Lord.
Since it's inappropriate to refer to Yod He Vav He, by some form of pronunciation, hence why we spell it out usually when we're vibrating in ceremony.
Yeah, you were right. This is the Esoterinerd podcast.
So what can you tell me about each of your knowledge and experience with esoterica and magic, Golden Dawn, Thelema? I just wanted to open up to you for a minute to just tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Well, we've been doing this pretty much almost all our lives. A lot of practitioners out there I seem to start at a very young age, and we're no different. I was 15 when I started, so I've been in this for maybe 17 years now, and I just really couldn't imagine my life any other way. Personally, myself, I was like a lot of the teenagers in the 90s that sort of got involved when the internet exploded and went from a lot of these really bad GIF and MIDI sites where people had all these different sort of clusters of rituals, and I just poured through them all and had an ever-growing book collection. So definitely have that nerd part covered, because that's pretty much all I did as a teenager. I didn't go to shopping malls. I didn't go to movies or anything else. I actually had a lock on my door, and I would just set myself to doing I got a copy of Donald Craig's Modern Magic, and I just did the coursework all the way through, and eventually, I got my results, and it was working for me, and eventually moved across Canada and came all the way over to BC because I'm originally from Ontario. So for a while there, I was doing my own solo Golden Dawn work and eventually got into Thelema. I was very involved with sort of European witchcraft and doing sort of more folk tradition magic for quite some time. So not necessarily Wicca, although quite a few of us, have had our encounters with that or worked with Wicca for a while, but that really wasn't my thing. I was always more of a ceremonialist. And so for the past about 6 years now, I have been running Pagans and Mystics of BC. It's a meetup group, and we put on workshops and have coffee socials. We get together and people sort of trade information and network, and it's great to be able to share different backgrounds and cultures, and I just love learning about everybody's different traditions and what they have to bring to the table. So the past 2 years, and myself here have been working together quite closely.
Yeah, we're gonna have to edit out that name there, darling.
Oh, I'll use a bleep. That'll be fun. And then,
right.
But I'll leave in this part.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So for the past 2 years, Frater YShY and myself have been working together quite closely. We had met through some mutual connections, and since I already had a background in Golden Dawn, it was just natural that we began working together as a team.
Yeah, all of this experience that she's gathered all happened before her neophyte. So
Nice.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
You get someone that's well versed. I mean, even the Craig's booklet. I mean, the book. Say what you want about different curriculums, but that book does definitely get someone ready for adepthood.
It does.
And and there's nuances in the different names and titles in there some of them, Golden Dawn has updated itself quite a bit over the years. So, we were very lucky when she joined. She actually brought an entire working group of people with her into the order, which was remarkable. And she set up an entire new temple based on the group that they were already working with. So
that's great.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So for myself, I've been doing this for a few decades as well. Started at a very early age. My parents were actually esotericists themselves as well.
Like mine.
So pardon me?
You and I are second generation.
Yeah, I guess that's what you could call it. Yeah, and so it kind of gave me a bit of a head start. I studied as a teenager and early 20s. I studied a variety of subjects, including Golden Dawn. So a little bit of Druidism, other types of paganism, Greek and Roman studies, tarot. Got teachers, Kabbalistic teachers as well as I got older. I'm always taking new courses. I'm always learning. I've been doing Golden Dawn for about 25 years now. And the order, the temple, Thuban temple, we started that in '99, and it's been running through. So this is our 15th year, and meeting monthly for ceremonies, and it's a whole train. Oftentimes if somebody says they're going to be late for something, I say, well, we've met on this night now for 10 years, and give them a bit of a hard time.
Yeah, everybody knows when the next workshop or lecture is, because we have a pretty consistent calendar. So
yeah, excellent. What makes the Hermetic Society of the Golden Dawn and Thuban Temple different from other orders?
I would say that our emphasis is on education and fraternity. And by that, we have a bit of a different approach. A lot of the orders out there, that I do believe they are doing good work. I've met people from a variety of places. But what makes us different is we tend to not be as concerned about getting new candidates through. We are interested in the Golden Dawn as an initiatory system. But pretty much our focus is on solid education for the members that we have. We're more concerned about getting a good fit with a member so that the sort of the lowest common denominator is actually quite high. We're mainly education based. We do a lot of lectures. We have a tarot class that runs every week. We do a ritual every month, or a ceremony, I should say. There's a lot of papers. We've been lucky to network and cooperate with some of the other Golden Dawn orders out there. So that makes us sort of the beneficiary of a lot of older material and things like that are not necessarily in print. So we've been very lucky to be part of that tradition, sort of the modern paper tradition. We have a lot of cooperation with the other adepts and writers from other traditions. Like, for example, Nick Farrell and Aaron Leach and Samuel Scarborough all wrote a little bit for the Adept Magic book that I put out. Nice. So they were very supportive that way. The Ciceros wrote the introduction for it. So there's quite a bit of peace and cooperation and friendship in the Golden Dawn community.
Oh, that's great.
There's lots of information sharing, and it's really a wonderful thing. So
that's great. That's good to hear.
Yeah, and then on the fraternity side of it, what makes us a bit different is that anyone can offer a lecture. We have we don't call it open mic, but it's that sort of idea. Membership means that you're in the order, you're equal to everyone else. The way that our hierarchy works is that the grades are much like school grades are, in that you've worked on certain courses, you've completed them, you've moved on to the next grade. So we all, this might sound a bit cliche, but really we're all neophytes.
Yeah.
We're all learning, and that's the type of attitude that we want to promote in the Hermetic Society of the Golden Dawn, and Thuban Temple in particular.
Well, I've always enjoyed that the members and a lot of people at various grade levels have been able to contribute with their own skills and expertise. So if somebody's an expert in astrology, then they offer a series of lectures based on that. Somebody's great at I Ching, so they do an I Ching lecture. It's fantastic. I Ching, obviously not being a topic that was quite central to the Golden Dawn, but it's another skill that we can put under our belts and share with one another. So we try to promote this ever-growing sort of community within our temple connections, where people will visit other temples and do lectures and workshops and help sort of expand other people's sort of breadth of knowledge and share their experience. So that way we have a healthy, growing community where people are allowed to develop new areas of research and write new rituals and actually have a good, firm foundation under their feet in which to build their esoteric career, if you will, within the temples. So so far it's I'm really excited to have all these beautiful, wonderful people who have worked with us tirelessly to build these temples and come together with sort of the same sort of dream and goal to uphold the tradition of the Golden Dawn and further it. I think that the community that we have built around us is the future of the Golden Dawn. I really believe in these people. They're just wonderful faces to have around us.
Can you sense there's a lot of love here?
Well, I'm convinced.
It's pouring out of us. Yeah.
Oh, tear, right? Tear.
So how does the unified order of the Golden Dawn work?
Well, that's a different creature entirely. So the Hermetic Society of the Golden Dawn is our order. It is based out of Canada. It has curriculum. It has paperwork. Everything that one would expect upon joining a magical order. But the Unified Order of the Golden Dawn is a different creature entirely. That is an organization more like a confederation. Other orders, other Golden Dawn orders, can join on an order level, not on a membership level. And it's a network to facilitate two things: visiting between temples from different orders. And the second thing is the sharing of the deeper sharing of knowledge and paperwork, papers that people have write, experiments that they do. And now much of this exists already in the Golden Dawn community in a kind of informal way. But
it's a way of formalizing that.
This is a way of formalizing that. So entire orders have signed on. There's currently 5 different orders that have joined the Unified Order of the Golden Dawn.
Now, are you allowed to say which ones?
Yes, we are.
Oh, good.
There's the Order of the Golden Dawn in Colorado. So that's Thoth Amon-Ra temple.
We met him earlier.
There is the Atum Kefri temple in Seattle, which is also currently using the title Order of the Golden Dawn.
Okay.
But they're a distinct order from Colorado. And Atum Kefri is it's currently using the open source rituals.
Okay.
But they're not affiliated to the open source order.
Well, that's sort of in the
also
spirit of open source, I'd say. I think
Yeah.
open source would approve of that.
Yeah. There's a new temple in Vancouver, which we're not going to name right now because they're in their first year of operation.
Ooh.
And they have their hands full right now.
Wow. How mysterious. I bet I know them, whoever they are. I know a lot of Vancouver Golden Dawners. Or at least I might have known one of their teachers or friends.
What we are at liberty to say is that was the former study group that I was running.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's probably a different group.
So we were previously known as Feather of Matt, and now it's transferred and become something more. So
nice.
But I think that you would be pleasantly surprised, Edward.
Oh yeah.
about who's in that group.
Oh good. Oh good.
Yeah. So and then there's also Temple of Isis in Rio de Janeiro. And there's a traditional Golden Dawn temple in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil? That is correct.
Oh, great news. Oh, finally. That's great news. But I'm probably already in touch with them because I have a lot of Brazilians on my friends list. I just wasn't aware there was a traditional order down there. I'll have to check. I'll follow the link and then I'll.
Well, the front man for that is Frater YShY Lux Casta.
Okay, yeah, I think we're friends.
Yeah, he is a fantastic individual, as are all of the other unnamed chiefs from the orders we just mentioned. So there's a number of study groups that each of these temples has around them. There's also other temples that are just opening now that we or have in the last year, as in the case of Vancouver. So anybody in the Vancouver area can send us an email at thubantemple.com. But like I said, we're not really looking for intakes of members. What we're looking to do is really put on excellent ceremonies and provide the education. So this growth has been it's been organic. It's been slow. It's been steady. It's taken years to do, and it's only this year, actually, on this podcast that we're announcing it publicly. There's a little blurb about that on the Adept Magic book, and not much else. So it's more about the work. We will eventually put out a website, but
you heard it here first,
right?
everybody.
You heard it here first.
Now I wanted to just to give everyone a little bit of background here, because I know there's people of a variety of levels of experience. There's people who are completely new to all of this. Now, in the order where I came from, for one reason or another, probably because of individual assholes, we had sort of this feeling. Now, I came from a traditional Golden Dawn order, quote unquote. And we had this sense that there was still this big grudge between the Thelemites and the traditional Golden Dawn people, and that it had to be one or the other, it couldn't be both. And then at one point, Chick Cicero actually came out, and he told us a story about how once upon a time he was running an OTO oasis, and then he started building a vault and practicing traditional Golden Dawn based on Rigardi's book. And then Grady McMurdy, who I believe was head of the OTO at the time, came to his house to see the oasis and saw the vault and said, "What are you doing? You can't do both." And then Israel Rigardi came to his house and said, "Wait, you're doing an OTO oasis too? No, you can't do both." And so I found out that you guys are doing both. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that. Yeah, if I could leave it just open to there. Yeah.
I'd be happy to speak a little bit to the different currents. Frater YShY and myself, actually, when we both met, I should probably, put out there that we are a couple. And when we did connect, I was an active dues current member of the OTO, doing Mass on a regular basis. I did Mass just about twice a month for years with their lovely priests who have been doing it for over 20 years of their life. So I connected with them. And I had been trying to find people who would come with me to a local pagan pride day out here on the island and present the Mass for pagans so that they could sort of see where they get drawing down the moon and the great rite from. And they go, "Oh, that's that poetry right there. That's exactly, word for word. Now I understand," and have a deeper appreciation for their rituals. Which are valid in their own right. I love the Mass. I believe it's beautiful, and we still perform it to this day. So we're both current members of the OTO, and we're happy with it. But we do keep that separate because the two currents can exist and coincide with each other separately. My motto in the OTO is I even have a separate motto that I identify myself with there. And I have my Golden Dawn motto because I feel that both currents are valid in their own right. They're both powerful systems to work with, and I honor them equally. There's no reason for any friction or to believe that either system is better than the other. They both have their own unique purpose, and they both add to the individual in their own way. So there really is no reason for anybody in either order to be putting each other down, because we can both coincide and with one another and swap stories and sit in the same room and be okay that person has a different belief system than I do. Because how many different people are there in the world that have different belief systems? There's no one true religion here, right? Like if there's a source of creation, I don't believe it really cares what religion you are. I think it cares what quality of a human being you are and how you treat others. And so as long as I'm treating people well in the OTO and I'm treating people well in the Golden Dawn, I'm okay with me, and I'm okay with my practice and all the lovely people that I'm in both orders. So,
very well said.
Yeah, beautiful.
And we're not running an OTO body per se.
Right.
So I too have heard that Grady story, and when I go to do an officer role in Golden Dawn for myself, that would not be a 6-month span where I would also sign on to be an initiator in the local Masonic temple that I also belong to,
right,
or have you, because there's a lot of commitment involved in running a group. And I also think that energetically speaking, we do make our choices. But as far as OTO goes, there's a definite current of energy there, but it's not the same work that we do in Golden Dawn. In Golden Dawn, there's initiations, there's tool building, there's study. OTO is more of a social group. They don't offer magical instruction.
Okay.
They have initiation and advancements. There's very little tool building. Crowley states in various places, such as Confessions of Aleister Crowley, his famous autohagiography, that he really designed OTO to be put on, as the ceremonies to be put on with very little money and resources required, and to still be first-rate ceremonies. So, in Vancouver, there's Shakespeare's Bard on the Beach, and a lot of the OTO ceremonies can be done
with a blue candle and a red candle and a curtain.
With a few simple items.
Yeah.
And but Golden Dawn is not a creature like that. Golden Dawn, in the way that we have promote it's examination based. There's papers written. Every grade has tests. Like the examination to pass in HSGD is you have to hit 90%. It's a 90% pass. It was 95, but they bargained me down 5 points. So
ours was 85, but we had a lot of questions.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So this is this is the type of creature that Golden Dawn is. If you think about it as a deck of cards, you have to be playing with a full deck in order for this.
Okay, well that's interesting. That's interesting
insight.
You
have to know all the symbols, right?
It makes me think that if someone, it's good to have the Golden Dawn there available for someone who's a member of the OTO who wants to get a little deeper and think, well, what was going on in Crowley's head? Well, I can walk the path he walked. I can go through the ceremonies he went through, exactly preserved in, as we say in the confession, right? And with becoming reverence.
Absolutely. I think it would only deepen people's appreciation to study Golden Dawn and then study Thelema on top of that, and you go, oh well, that is where Liber Libre came from. It was on the
general guide, on the general guidance and purification of the soul
from the Practicus package. Yeah.
And if there's a W.B. Yeats fan club in town, you should get them involved too.
So I think it's great because it's a good history lesson for you, anyways.
Yeah.
You realize that Crowley built on the shoulders of the masters, as they say.
Right. He took what was going on in his time.
In a unique direction, his own direction, too, right? Like, we can learn the traditional and classic methods of Golden Dawn, and you can build on that yourself and do your own thing.
Yeah. I like that. Excellent.
Yeah, so we don't really, there's a phrase I like to use, we don't really pay attention to what orders people belong to.
Yeah.
It helps to know.
It's like privacy.
It is privacy. It helps to know what they are, and it helps to know if someone takes on responsibility in one of those organizations.
Right, if they're going to be busy on a certain night or whatever, yeah. Yeah,
and in Canada we have a charitable organization named United Way that I've actually helped over the years several times by volunteering time. During that time period, I should not be sitting as a temple hierophant, because I'm busy.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we go with that. I understand that Regardi and McMurtry, they're like the patriarchs of the Western tradition. We invoke their names and their wisdom, but I think we can go our own way a little bit on that. And if something's working, it's working. If it's not working, then we need to make amends, right? So
I was wondering if you guys might be able to comment, because I've spoken to a few people from a Thelemic background who have either stated openly or stated that, as a question, about Crowley and Thelema making the Golden Dawn irrelevant, rendering the Golden Dawn and Hermeticism prior to him irrelevant. I honestly am not sure what they mean because I don't have enough of a background in Crowley's teachings. Do you know what they mean, and why are they wrong?
Yeah, well, there's a line in the Book of the Law that says, "Abrogate are all rituals."
Oh, so he's playing off the line from the Equinox. The previous word, the past word has been abrogated.
Exactly.
Huh.
So, and Ra Hurquid hath taken his seat in the east at the equinox of the gods. That's the line. And younger Crowley, once he started promoting the Book of the Law, I think he had a lot of steam to work off.
Yeah.
There was a lot of relationship issues in the fraternity at the time, as we all know from the history of these different organizations. And as Paul Foster Case had a similar experience in the later time period in the 30s with the Alpha and Omega and working with Moyna Mathers at that time, after Mathers' death, after Samuel Mathers' death.
Right.
And Dion Fortune also went her own way. These sort of things happen. And oftentimes magicians were very genuine, particularly when we're in our 20s and 30s. And, we interpret things maybe too much. And different journal notes, entries from the people I just mentioned, they all seem to feel like the current had left at the time. And, I've felt that way when I'm in an organization where there's a bit of stuff going on, and maybe there needs to be some more fraternity or healing. But I've also felt that way going through school. And, there's a certain point where you think, am I ever going to get this done?
Yeah.
And sometimes people go different routes. Sometimes they finish what they're working on. Sometimes they take a different educational path. But sort of to make a long story short, I think that older Crowley was a bit more mature. In Perturabo by Kaczynski, hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, a recent biography, recent as in the last 10 or 15 years, he talks about something Crowley said about the magical signs when he was speaking to one of his students. And so at the end of Crowley's life, someone was discussing the signs, the grade signs with him. And he's, instead of talking about its abrogate, instead of talking about how he is now the head of the Rosicrucian order, that's young Crowley. Older Crowley says, those signs are originally from Golden Dawn, and I have been using them for the better part of 40 years. I have squatter's rights. So, Thelemites, it's energetic. It's a young thing. It's an exciting thing. Even the older members of Thelema, there's a passion about them.
Yeah.
And
I just saw Lon Milo Duquette and David Carabine playing guitar, and a bunch of very young, spirited, older people at a bar on Sunset the other night.
Oh, those guys are a riot. They're wonderful when they're in town.
Yeah, so there's an energy about it. And I think it's pretty easy when we're passionate to be maybe a bit zealous. And we find that in the Golden Dawn too. It's not something that's isolated to any one order. And so harmony is better. I think if you can learn something from a system, that's better. Recently, we heard Jimenez Beta speak, so outer head of the OTO. And you really get the impression that the culture in OTO is changing a little bit. Now, I personally dispute that other systems don't have energy when something new has come along. No one would say that Hinduism is defunct now that Buddhism exists.
Well, and it's sort of rude when they say that Judaism is defunct now that Christianity exists.
Well, you said that one, not me. So
I've heard it said.
I've heard it said too, and I would say most Jews would disagree with that.
But I think they would say that Judaism renders older forms of Judaism, which includes a goddess, irrelevant.
Right, or possibly various pagan religions.
Exactly.
The Egyptian gods are seen as clipothic.
Yeah, they smashed a statue of Hathor once. Yeah, and bragged about it.
This is just normal.
Yeah.
But like echoing what Regardi said, I think it's what you should know about the Golden Dawn. If you want magical training, Golden Dawn is the place.
Yeah.
I concur with that. I feel that a lot of my own studies personally were furthered when, I came to this temple, and I brought a lot of my people with me, and we all started working together to share the experience we already had, and then to fill in any of the blanks where we might have missed along the way. So it was really a growing experience. I think the main thing about these different traditions and systems is that it's a very personal experience and journey, and this is why we don't talk about initiations or put out what our personal experience is. You know, it's supposed to be to know, to will, to dare, to be silent. We're silent for a reason, because you're supposed to be able to go. You can't go if you're always you're judging another person's experience and trying to validate your own at their expense. The artists are some of the best mystics out there, putting these beautiful things in movies and music, and they are just as connected to a lot of these old school practitioners who have, been doing Liber Samek or Abermalin. They have their own connection to that divine, and they are expressing it through their passion, through their love in life and art. And musicians are artists in their own right, just as any sculptor or painter or dancer is. We're just expressing it in a very particular and ceremonial way, right? So really what it is we need to put that part of ourselves aside and say, like, all these grades and everything, it's just going through school. It's just helping us learn and work on ourselves. That's what we should be focused on. And whether you're neophyte or you're second order or whatever you're at, we're still here working on ourselves. And people in other orders or higher grades can still have the same life problems as people who are just beginning, right? Like, think of the problem or the advice of the fool. The fool should be encouraged in his folly, because sometimes you can't really tell people that there is a lesson or an initiation to be taught or learned. Only their higher source can tell them that, and they have to be ready to wake up and realize it. So when we take people in and they come into our fold, we encourage that potential in them. And the real initiation is really you've gone through your neophyte or whatever grade, and it all plays out throughout that year. It really is. It's like a dominoes effect, one after the other, and nothing can prepare you for that. It's a life-changing event. It really is. So it's really a pleasure to be able to connect with you
likewise.
On various subjects.
I like clearing the air out and kind of, rending another veil for another new age, to see another, what shenanigans we've been up to in the age of Pisces, now that it's the age of Aquarius, and then there's other new things happening that I don't know about, that 300 years from now someone's going to be digging up and going, wow, this was going on in this basement somewhere, but I'm still stuck on stuff going on 130 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point in history, going back to the old Thelema GD debate, there really is no debate there. It's an illusion. It's something we've created ourselves as human beings and people. It's only because one person decided that this system was more effective for them. It's not because the other system doesn't work. It's just that system isn't speaking to you personally, to your spirit, or who you are. If OTO doesn't speak to someone in GD, who cares?
Yeah, it's sort of that football team mentality.
Yeah, well, I always find, it's more important to concentrate on your own progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Than worry about what that guy's doing or the next guy's doing or that guy. It's you. Why are you getting distracted with all this other the events going on around you? And the most important thing in your world should be your own attainment, and that is how you get there, is by keeping your eye on, you may not get a full strike, but by God, if you get a shot, you're not going to get a gutter ball. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So
So, what can you tell us about the new book from Cherubim Press, Adept Magic in the Golden Dawn Tradition?
Yeah, the Adept Magic in the Golden Dawn Tradition is some of our preliminary inner order papers when for our vault.
Mm-hmm.
So when your new adept receives all of the traditional material and works through it, builds their tools, and does some works on the YShY formula, so the magical formula of the neophyte grade, Z2, as well as Z1 and Z3.
Mm-hmm.
This is an addendum to those topics, so it kind of picks up where they left off.
Okay.
It presents some new paradigms around the neophyte hall. The classic paradigm is the lower half of the tree of life. But in Adept Magic, there's a number of things. It talks about sort of lesser seen aspects of the lamans and scepters. But there's another paradigm there, it's erotic. It talks about planetary paradigms around the officers themselves, as well as different positions they take up. Particularly, there's the initiates will know there's the hexagram positioning in the neophyte ritual in the Stella Matutina. It wasn't something that was done in the original order, but it's something that's it's quite beautiful, and most of the modern temples do it.
I didn't realize it wasn't from the original Golden Dawn. Interesting.
No, it's not. It's not. And so there's a lot of little tidbits of information like that in the book. There's a comparison between similar Masonic degrees and Golden Dawn first degree, which is the outer order. And it really gets into scepters that are common between both the Masonic orders and Golden Dawn. It talks about similarity in officers' duties. There's sections where I've found information in older Masonic books that would be current with Westcott and Mathers that describe the Egyptian mysteries. So the way that, and also the Eleusinian mysteries. So the way the Golden Dawn is organized is sort of around the Masonic perception of what these older mysteries might have been like.
Right.
And as you probably have noticed. And so I very carefully, just using the neophyte opening, go through and compare exactly where this has been taken from Masonic literature.
Nice.
There's also a section about different Egyptian gods and in Masonic literature and how it relates to the god forms. Golden Dawn's unique because it has a magical connotation that Freemasonry has never had. But Freemasonry is definitely an esoteric subject. And so when a Golden Dawn Hierophant goes and builds a god form before anyone gets in there, nothing like that happens in Freemasonry. But on an academic level, you can see that, the Golden Dawn definitely builds off of some of the source information. So this is a pretty in-depth book. I could go on for hours about it, but people should just read it.
What's the best way to pick it up where you get the most of the of the cut?
Oh, I haven't got a clue.
Well, I mean, are you selling it directly or through Amazon or?
Yeah, you can get it through Amazon. You could. I would hazard a guess that if people went to cherubimpress.com and clicked on the link through there, there's probably some kind of floating bag of cookies or however it works. But yeah, cherubimpress.com. It also has my bio as well as some of the endorsements. So
now I have a friend who's a frater in an order here in town, and he wanted me to ask if you had any upcoming books and when we can expect to see it on the Cherubim Press.
I do have an upcoming book. Right now, I'm working on a new book. It has a working title. It's King Solomon's Temple and the Magic of the Golden Dawn.
Nice.
And it's on the Zealoter ritual. So the first book was on the neophyte formula, really drilling down in detail And the second book, I'm attempting to do the same with the Zealotr.
That sounds great. I actually wrote an article once in 2001 called "The Tabernacle in the Wilderness and the Temple in Malkut," which, if you look up Temple in Malkut, it goes to a page on the Golden Dawnpedia, and it still says VH Frater BT. I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize that I had written the definition on Golden Dawnpedia for the Temple in Malkut.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to go click on that.
Cool. All right. Well, it was absolutely lovely speaking with you both.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Do you have any questions for me or anything else you wanted to bring up before we close?
Well, I think just before we sign off here, and I would probably like to announce that we're expecting our first child. We're about 5 months along, and it's a kicker.
Congratulations.
So, pretty soon here, we're going to have a little wizard joining the team.
You'll have to bleep out that name. We are so excited about this baby, though. You have no idea.
Frater YShY and myself are expecting our first child.
A little Frater YShY will be joining us.
Yeah, we're going to have to pick out their motto. So you don't just pick out name. If you're a wizard, you pick out their motto and everything. when your parents are part of the Golden Dawn.
One time I was at a particular temple, and I won't say too much. All I'll say is that there was a little baby named Yates. And,
yes.
And he had a little black robe and a little nemes and little red socks that his mommy and his daddy had made just for him.
Oh.
We're going to have to bite that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so, we're very excited. We're very pleased.
That's excellent. That's great news. Light in Extension.
Light in Extension, brother.
Thank you for speaking to me on the Esoterinerd podcast.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, it was lovely to meet you, Frater and Soror. I look forward to speaking to you again. If there's anybody out there who thinks that that's a good idea, a unified order where you could have a Theoricus in your order, go to a Theoricus initiation at the temple of maybe a different order for a change. What a concept. You see it done, the same rituals done in a different way. I'd suggest getting in touch with this guy, Frater YShY, and ask him how you might get involved in this unified order. I remember my old proctor, very honored Frater YShY, used to talk about how nice it would be to drive into a town and see that sign that says the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, Freemasons, Golden Dawn meets here. Well, we'll see. It's up to us to choose the form of the unfolding of the Age of Aquarius, or the Aeon of Horus, if you're into that sort of thing. And so, Frater YShY wanted me to mention, he forgot to mention, check out the Hermetic Society of the Golden Dawn Facebook group. And of course, many, many thanks to all of the people whose sound bites I've stolen to make this episode just a little bit more fun. Please direct all cease and desist orders to edward.c.reeb@gmail.com. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, feel free to contact me there, on Facebook, or call me at 626-367-9254. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.